And I just finished someone's review of the trilogies. That was a good one, everybody. But I'm not going to do this one just yet. I'm going to go to the other one.
Make sure to turn down your volume in 3, 2.
I want to see if this guy is... So as you guys know how I feel about Metroid Prime and that trilogy in general. Of course, you know, this is a video that I'm interested in watching to see someone's opinion on the Metroid Prime trilogy. So I don't know why I left a like when I didn't even watch the entire video yet, and I don't know if I agree or disagree. Some people think too much of themselves, but with them I forget how. Keep the problems in the closet with the skeleton instead of solving them and they can drop it. They making it worse, telling friends and people that don't even know the truth.
For about a little over a year and a half now, I've been slowly making my way to completing the classic Metroid Prime games to get ready for Metroid Prime 4, which is literally just in a couple of weeks. So when Metroid Prime 1 Remastered came out, I was super excited.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is out now.
Been waiting for the other two to get remastered, and it never happened. So
yeah, I don't know if they will get remastered. Usually they remaster the first game and then, you know, see how it goes. But then I don't even want to talk about how many times Twilight Princess has been remastered, like 3 different times. One on the Wii, then on the Wii U, then on the Switch. Do we really need 3 remasters? Oh man, and that's one of my favorite games of all time. And then they remastered Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and that's a sequel. So I mean, I don't see why they can't remaster Metroid Prime 2 and 3. I mean, they did Twilight Princess, which is not the first Twilight Princess game, but I guess it was said that it was the most definitive of Zelda. I think one of the developers said or something. And it's good, don't get me wrong, but I mean, if you're gonna get into Zelda, Legend of Zelda, the series, and if you like it, Twilight Princess is definitely top 3 of what you should play. Maybe like Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time besides that, but like you gotta also get into Majora's Mask. You gotta give that a try, maybe the first 2 games, and see how you fare in that. You know, you gotta give it a try. Or Link to the Past, that and Majora's Mask should be actually the next 2, I would say. You know, it's a whole list like that, but that's just for Legend of Zelda. We're talking about Metroid, so let's get back into the Metroids.
So, of course, I decided to slowly just go back and play the Metroid Prime trilogies, Prime 2 and Prime 3. But yeah, I actually started off playing these games when I was in high school. So I haven't played them since, but I've completed them before, and I wanted to recomplete them to get myself ready for Prime 4. And now
this is
that
really
I've
cool,
finished
though.
my playthrough of Prime 3, I wanted to talk about my experience with all 3 games, so that way you don't have to run out and try to find these games and play them before Prime 4.
He said he would be doing one on the trilogy, but all I see is either Metroid Prime 4, the Mario Kart World, that's what it's called. I think he forgot that he was planning on doing that, and unfortunately, that one's one of the most least viewed videos. The Metroid Prime trilogy is so underrated, bro. If I had to choose, actually it's kind of hard. Metroid Prime over Legend of Zelda, because they're about equal, but Metroid Prime, man, I don't know. Metroid Prime might just be the number 1. I don't know, because Mario's good too, and Pokemon. But like, since recently, I kind of realized, like, I really like Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but I used to like it even more back then. I still really like it, but I just used to like it more back then. And I would say the last time I was into Pokemon was like maybe 2016, 2017, because that's when the X and Y sets were out, and I was getting it as gifts and Pokemon cards. Afterwards, I just kind of like fell out of it. Like, I stopped liking Pokemon. Well, of course, the games are still, you know, available, unlike the TCG sets that are my favorite, which is Diamond and Pearl all the way up until X and Y. After that, it's just not good Pokemon anymore. I don't see it as, like, the best of the best, as, like, the treasure it was, the fortune it was, the sacred bestness that it was. Heart Gold, Soul Silver, oh, man. The artwork, too, come on, son. Black and white, X and Y, like, they were just releasing bangers. And I never even played the X and Y game. And I had Moon for a little bit. I don't even know where that went. And I was enjoying that. But anyhow, let's get back into this.
And what I felt about them and how they stand a test of time here in 2025. Thank you so much.
The Talon Overworld music.
Prime 1. So replaying Prime 1 immediately, thanks to the remaster, I just was like in amazement of how good this game looked, with the atmosphere bumped up to 1,000. But Prime 1 is the game of the trilogy that I would say has the best vibe, the best atmosphere, the best music, the best just theming. Everything about this game feels good. You have...
See, that's the thing that, like, I think at first I liked Echoes, and Echoes was, for some reason, just a little bit better. Even though I liked MP1 and Metroid Prime 1, I started liking, like, more than Echoes, but then, for some reason, like, Echoes just grew on to me even more. And as time went on, eventually I started liking Metroid Prime 1 again more. And all three of them are equal. Even Metroid Prime 3. I don't care how bad it is, whatever. It's still Metroid Prime. It still does what it does. It's just it's still good because it's just that formula is amazing. It's like Apex Legends. I like going back to that game because of the formula. But that's a multiplayer game. Anyhow, that's just an example, though. You know, Call of Duty also. Those two are FPS games. This is just so happens to be an FPS game because of the development, for those who don't know. But there's a whole story behind that. Because what it was a completely different game beforehand, but eventually turned into an adventure action shooter FPS type of thing, which turned out to be one of the best games of all time and made Metroid, I think, the best way possible that they could have done. Like the original Metroids from 2D to 3D, I think this is just the best that they could have done. And trying out 3D with like other M and stuff, I mean, I don't know, that's a whole topic on its own video. Eventually I started liking Metroid Prime 1 more, and yeah, I'd say that Metroid Prime 1 does have a vibe to it, but we cannot say that Metroid Prime 2 does not have an atmosphere about it, because it still has it. It might not have it as much as Metroid Prime 1 in some places, but Metroid Prime 2 certainly has it. Well, I might actually come back to that LG game review on the Metroid Prime trilogy, because I really feel like I want to talk about one of my favorite franchises ever. But that'll come in some point, I don't know when, but eventually I'll come around to that.
That full-on isolation feeling. It's just Samus alone on Talon 4, trying to uncover mysteries with the space pirates, and of course learn more about Chozo lore.
See, that's one thing about Metroid Prime 1, though. That's true. But, I mean, you still kind of feel that in Metroid Prime 2, because, I mean, even you got Umos and the Luminoth, whatever, right? That's basically just one person, or one moth. And you gotta remember, when you are in that world, you don't know that world. And you only got one friend, and that's the homie up in the Great Temple. That when you are in that world you don't know of, and then you go through the dark portal, you're not with the Luminoth Umos no more. So that adds to the isolation even more, and kind of brings it back to Metroid Prime 1 isolation, I think, because you're not in the same world. You are, but you're in a twin version of the world, basically. You're in the exact same place, but a darker version, but a different place. It's kind of weird, but it's very cool. Some people say it's like the Link to the Past, how they did the Dark World and stuff like that, and it kind of is, except I played Link to the Past, and I still like how Metroid Prime did it more than Link to the Past so far. But here's the thing, I beat Metroid Prime 2, I have not beat Link to the Past, so I'm still a little iffy on that. I'm not very conclusive on that. That's not a very much thing that I agree with until I completely beat Link to the Past.
You know,
so I can know for sure.
People that help Samus become Samus in the first place. This game is one giant interconnected world where you'll use a 3D map to pretty much look around and figure out where you need to go. Of course, each area being blocked off by specific doors and specific items that you need to open said doors. So you'll go around defeating bosses, getting brand new power-ups, and of course, completing brand new rooms. There's really nothing to dislike in this game. I think probably its biggest weakness is its boss battles are few and far in between, and they're pretty simple in comparison to the other bosses in the trilogy. But besides that, you have some amazing themed area with Magmore Cavern and the crisp icy mountains of Vendrama Drifts. But like I said, it's really hard to say.
This dude said Vendrama Drifts. What is this? Bender from Futurama's Vendrama Drifts?
Anything bad about Metroid Prime 1. Personally, my favorite part about the game is once again that isolation. Just some of the areas in the game are so creepy feeling. One of my favorites being, of course, the Phazon Mines, which puts you in these deep, dark...
See, that's a great example. The one area I was thinking of earlier when I was actually going to elaborate on my point of the isolation and whatnot, one of the areas that I was going to talk about, if we're talking about Metroid Prime 3, is it's in Skytown, and I think it's before you get the Spider Ball, something like that, and the power goes out because you get the energy cell or something like that. I think the secret missile, and all the Metroids are like in the tanks or whatever they're in, and once you get that energy cell, it turns off all the power, so the tanks aren't up no more. So you kind of have these like Metroids that can phase through walls, and the music's going crazy, it's all quiet, the suspense is real, and it brought me back to that feeling of Metroid Prime 1, and there's some places in Metroid Prime 2 that are like that.
Dagger. That fat guy Turbo?
Yeah. Those are just a couple I can name off the top of my head, but as far as it goes, there are a few places in Metroid Prime 2 that I felt that way. But I think FaZe Mines is definitely an area that scared me even more because I was a little kid at that time. When I got that far in Metroid Prime 3, I was older, so it was a different thing going on. I was like 2021, I think, is when I actually played Metroid Prime 3. I got that far in terms of that. Which I don't know how I got that far to Omega Ridley, because I remember that specifically. I remember the first time fighting him, I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. This is one of the things I looked up back in like 2012 and stuff, and it was just really cool because the game came out and this boss fight's really cool, and it's like Ridley, but it's Omega Ridley, and it's like, yeah, it was cool. Yeah, but Metroid Prime FaZe Mines, I was literally scared as a kid. Not like really scared, but it actually did a very good job at the atmosphere on that one, especially when I was little, because it was just, and that's one of the things I love about this game, and love about the whole series, is because it gives you a feeling that no other game does. It gives you a certain euphoric vibe, and that's why I just want to don't play no other games except Metroid Prime, Legend of Zelda, because these games that give that certain feeling, and these games that do that certain thing, a lot of other games don't do, and a lot of other things don't do in life that aren't video games. And that's the thing that makes it so special. And that's why I don't want to play no Toontown no more. I don't want to play nothing else. I literally just want to play this.
Creepy minds and helps build the story of the Metroid Prime and starts exposing things like the Phazon that's corrupting the Metroids down there, and you start learning more and more about the lore and about the world and about what's going on, and I just love that creepy moment of being down there. It's just something so special that I didn't feel in any other game in the series.
Exactly.
Honestly, I think this game is where the combat is at its best. You have multiple different beams that you can switch through in order to hit
any other game in the series, though. That's debatable.
Enemy pirates that have weakness to that specific beam, so it's not just blasting and moving around.
I just hope he's not gonna bandwagon on Metroid Prime 3 corruption and be like, what other people said I agree with, instead of coming up with my own opinion. I just hope he's not about to do that, because some people just do that, and it's not just Metroid Prime 3 corruption that people do that with, but also, like, you could say even other M, but I saw a couple people that actually, like, gave the game some props for reasons and explained those reasons, and it was actually a decent point. But I've only seen gameplay of Other M. I've never played it for myself. I don't plan on doing it. But Corruption I plan on coming back to once I get my Wii U console and get the Trilogy again, because I sold it for some freaking reason. Don't ask me why.
Fighting feels so smooth in this game. I also wanted to give another shout out to one of my favorite areas in the game, being the crash site, which is like the sunken space pirate ship that's underwater in the Vendrama Drifts. It also has beautiful music down there.
Is he really calling it Vendrama?
And yeah, I just love the vibes of this game. I could go on and on about
literally has an end right there.
But of course, Metroid Prime does something that I'm personally absolutely not a fan of. And if anything, this
the backtracking
that they do at the end of their games
it was cool though. It was different and cool. I liked it. When people like talk about the backtracking, it's like, okay, I understand it to an extent, but it's like if you enjoyed the game enough, you wouldn't really care about the backtracking that. You wouldn't dislike the backtracking unless you dislike the game, because you have to go through the game all over again. Yeah, okay. You don't want to go back in those atmospheric different worlds of like the Magmore caverns, of like lava caverns, and the icy Fendrana drifts, and just that snow world or snowlands, the temple grounds and Chozo. Like, that seems cool in my opinion. Like, you have to go through all that again one last time and appreciate the game, and then finish the game in one new area. And then I hear that criticism of people saying, oh, the backtracking sucks, but then they're going to talk about, oh yeah, I love the atmosphere, the vibe, and each of the locations were awesome looking. It's like, wait, you're contradicting yourself now. Like, you were saying that you didn't like going back to those places, but then when people talk about it later on, they remember fondly of these places. It's like, wait, if it was so bad, you wouldn't feel so positive about it. So I think that some people just confuse, and it goes back to what I was saying about unproductiveness and laziness back in my Metroid Prime 4 initial review for the LG game reviews. And it's that unproductive and laziness, like thinking that people are just like wanting the least amount of work done and getting the most reward out of it. That's what I talked about then, and that's basically what I said. And a lot of people don't like backtracking because it seems like, oh, I already done that, been there before, and I should just be done with the game. I should just get to the final boss and beat the game. That's when people talk about backtracking, that's how I feel like they sound to me. And this is what I don't get when people talk about the backtracking. I'm glad I'm actually doing a reaction video on this because I almost didn't. I was just gonna like do other stuff, but this is something that needs to be talked about because a lot of people will talk about the backtracking and be like, oh, this game's one of the best games, if not the best game I've ever played, but the backtracking, man, oh, it's so bad. It's really not that bad. It really, people like act like, oh, it's like as if they're trying a new thing and they try it out for like 1 minute and then they stop doing it. It's like what Hobson said in Illmind 5. Pick it up, you pick something up, try it out, put it down 2 minutes later. It's contradictive. You can't say you like the game and then you dislike the game. You either like the game and you like the backtracking because it's not that bad. It's almost like people are just too lazy to beat the game or just too lazy to get something done, and it's very easy. And I'm not saying this guy is or any other person that said that they don't like the backtracking, but at this point I just find that to be just a random excuse to talk trash on the game for some reason. It truly is not that bad because they act like it takes hours and hours and hours and hours when people can speed run it. And I'm not saying everybody's at the same playing level and all that stuff, but it really is just not that bad. I truly don't understand how some people have such an issue with it when it's one of the easiest things to do.
Or even 10 out of 10s for me is the horrible backtracking. I'm personally not a fan of this. And
every time I watch a review and I hear that, I'm like, oh man, here we go. I want to hear his reasoning.
Thankfully, Metroid Prime 1's backtracking isn't too terrible, but I'd say it's definitely the second worst of the three. Before finishing the game and fighting the final boss, you have to go back and find 12 Chozo artifacts. And these are hidden artifacts throughout the world that you've already been in. Now, you
That's
can
cool, though.
come across some during your adventure, but odds are you're still going to be missing at least over half of them by the end of the game. And some of these are hidden extremely well. I remember one infamously hidden one in the Magmore Caverns that's hidden in a random pillar. So your job is to pretty much just run around and scan genuinely everything so you make sure that you don't leave a single area unchecked. But personally, I feel like this is just something to prolong the game to make it a lot.
Well, actually, each of them tell you technically where they're at. In a way, they give hints. When you first go to the artifact temple, you have to scan. So why is also the scanner on the right instead of the left? Usually it's on the left. That means X-rays on the left now. That's weird.
Because these games are relatively short. I mean, if it wasn't for these sections, you could probably finish each of the Prime games in around 9 to 10 hours, which is pretty short for a single-player adventure game. But I think the payoff is definitely worth it because you get an awesome double boss battle to finish the game. It's just a beautiful landscape for a final boss fight. Genuinely probably my favorite in the entire series. And then, of course, ending it with a battle against Metroid Prime itself, which was also just a phenomenal ending to this game. Once again, I think the highlight is just the combat for me in this game. The combat and the isolation, because you got all of these different beams, which is so strange that it really didn't return in any of the main Prime games. So yeah, it was kind of a letdown. But Prime 1 was a great, and I mean extremely great start for the Metroid Prime series, but let's move on to my least favorite of the trilogy. I really wanted to like Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. It's definitely the black sheep of the franchise, and most people would probably tell you that it's their least favorite of the three. It's just very
That's so
different
weird.
than the other two, because this game introduces something called the Dark World.
I thought people didn't like Corruption the most. Now all of a sudden people don't like Echoes the most. That's so weird. I like all three. Originally I liked all two because I was like, Corruption isn't Metroid Prime 1 and 2. It wasn't on the GameCube. It's not the same. But then I played it and it made me realize and learn that I don't know about something unless I try it. Like my grandma said. Thanks, Grandma.
Where it initially has a light version of the world, which is light ether, and a dark
Judy.
ether, which means it separates some of its worlds and some of its stages within a dark and light side that you must traverse. And that alone makes things pretty complicated already. Not only do you have to make sure you completely scan and visit every nook and cranny within the light world, but also the dark world as well.
You don't gotta
also,
scan
every
that.
time you go into the dark world, there's a little bit of a loading screen that you have to sit through and wait. And then sometimes they throw you in the dark world just to turn around a corner and then go right back into the light world. But then there's some areas in the game that are filled with dark world portals just to go to one room and do one thing and then come back. Plus, to me, the dark world just kind of sucks. I love the atmosphere of it being this dark, creepy, alienated version of the real world. But with that said, it's just kind of weird how it works. You have to kind of move around from these crystal light areas to crystal light areas. That way you don't actually lose energy, because if you stand in the dark for too long, you'll start losing energy. You have to like hurry up and hide in these little light sections, which I don't know. It just feels strange, which also makes the game a lot harder. Some of the enemies and even boss battles you have to fight while also maintaining yourself in these light areas. It's kind of frustrating. And I totally understand this could be just a me thing and maybe it's just a skill issue, but dude, this is the only game in the trilogy where I genuinely got extremely lost almost every 30 minutes.
I'm not gonna lie. I've years ago, even when I was little, for some reason sometimes I would get lost, and I really don't know how, because I know this and the original Metroid Prime is mapped like the back of my hand. Like I could probably do it blindfolded, probably not actually. Don't quote me on that. Don't clip that at all. But somehow, some way, I got lost.
Get some type of new power up and be like, okay, now what the heck do I do with this thing? And I have no clue where the game wants me to go. I spent at least 5 to 6 hours just
You know what? That's fair. We just gotta look around, man.
Roaming around looking for things to do next, which I completely understand that some people enjoy that stuff, just trying to figure out what to do and it's just being like very austere. But man, I don't necessarily need my handheld, but dude, I would love some sort of direction, and this game really doesn't give you that, especially with the Dark World. There's so many past areas that you can go back and revisit and then go into the Dark World, and it might require you to go back to the Dark World in some past area after you get an item in a world that's completely different than the one that you need to be in.
That's true.
I also definitely do not like the different beams in this game. You have the dark beam and the light beam, so of course you don't have all those multiple different effect beams that you had in the first game, and your ammo feels like it runs out so extremely quick. I mean, so much so that I barely even use these beams because I would quickly run out of ammo, and some bosses kind of required you to use a light beam or a dark beam in order to deal any sort of significant damage.
Well, that's why you got to do it strategically. And see, when you guys watch my Metriod Prime 2 randomizers, you gotta strategize with it, and that's what I like about 2 is you kind of have to strategize. I can't speak English. Okay, strategize more because you have only a certain amount, and it's more of like survival on this one, and you get more of that in this game, and I like that, and you just have to know what to do, and really it's very, very simple. It's as simple as any dark enemy, use the light beam on. It will do so much damage, and I'm sure he got the memo here because most of his light ammo's almost depleted. So I mean, I don't know how he still had an issue with it because you're not really gonna need it and for the rest of this part of the fight. But when the little chicklings get out, you can shoot them with dark ammo like it says in the game and get light ammo. And I think if it's like super low and you completely run out, then it'll just automatically give you light ammo. So I'm not sure why he had an issue with it when he's basically about to get ammunition.
And a lot of the time, I just could not find ammo. The ammo is so scarce in this game. But on the plus side, I will say this game has some of the more unique boss battles in the entire series, and it's...
Saying the ammo is scarce in the game, somewhat. No, I don't even think... It's like... That's like maybe 15% correct.
A brand new power up or anything by just finding one laying on the ground or doing some puzzle. You almost always have to defeat some type of boss or guardian.
What does this do? Use your missiles, bro.
That's guarding that power up that you must take out. But I will say there's one area in this game that is by far one of my favorites in
the Seeker missile
entire trilogy, which is the Sanctum Fortress, which is this really cool
Sanctum Fortress, Sanctuary Fortress.
Futuristic fortress in the sky. I really like this one, and kind of
we're in agreement with that one.
Like the neon city lights below, which I was really surprised was in this game when I saw it. And instead of just shooting alien monsters over and over again, this new area actually has new style of enemies that I really liked, including these brand new robot commandos that are all over the area. I mean, probably one of the best boss battles in the entire trilogy being Quadraxis. I mean, seriously, I've always loved this boss battle. But I feel like also every game has that one annoying enemy that's just always bothering you. The first game was definitely the Chozo Ghost that would appear towards the end game. And in this game, it's definitely some of those teleporting space pirates, where it felt like it took years in order to kill those guys.
The Dark Pirate Commandos, yeah, they're kind of a meme. And, it's funny because you could just avoid them. You don't really have to fight them. But, I mean, again, not everybody has the same skill level in terms of, like, playing. Not everybody's going to be really good at everything. So, I mean, there's some places where you could just go in the morph ball and just chill in a corner or something and wait for them to go away, and they can't even hit you with any of the attacks. If you got the Dark Beam, just charge it up. It only takes 5, and then you can hit them with a missile, and boom, you don't got to deal with them. You just have to catch them, and then once they're frozen with darkness, hit them with a missile. That's why you have all that weaponry to experiment with and try out different things with. And I mean, if you're dealing with more than 2, find the Dark Burst in Aegon Waste.
And we're at the end of this game, and you know what that means. Yep, we got to go back and find 10 keys. This is by far the worst backtracking segment out of all 3 of these games. Not just because you have to pretty much walk everywhere once again because it's one giant interconnected world, but also that there's a dark world involved. So you have to find these keys a lot of the time in the dark world. And not only are they in the dark...
Actually, every Sky Temple key is in the dark world.
But they're also invisible. Yep, you have to pretty much go to each room and just use the Echo Visor in order to find these things in the first place, which is insane. And some of them...
The Dark Visor.
...are extremely well hidden. I'm talking in a deep, dark corner of a dark world that's already in a deep, dark corner of a light world that you have to find. I mean, one was literally in the dark world, in the corner, underneath a purple roof, behind a pillar, and invisible. Come on.
I think that's I think he's talking about Torvis Bog's subterranean part of the level. He's talking about the one behind those one enemies that you have to shoot one of those I can't even remember what those are called. The little
already pretty
what are they called? Ah, there we go. Okay, the beacons. That's what it was. This website's kind of cool though. Metroid Wiki. Because he played Metroid Dread. Did he play Metroid Prime 4? He probably likes the 2D part of it. Oh yeah, I forgot there's mixed reviews. Far from Prime. I don't have a Switch. I can't play it. You know what I find kind of funny and really weird? And I want to actually clip this. It's just funny and really weird. When Call of Duty Black Ops 7 and this Metroid Prime 4 Beyond was announced in 2018, Black Ops 7 came out this year in November or whatever, usually the yearly release that it comes out. And in Call of Duty Black Ops 7 Zombies, the new thing is a car. Like the new, like, I don't know, thing in that game is a vehicle. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, what's the new thing in that game? Oh, how weird. A car. I just find it really coincidentally weird. Metroid Prime's forever better than Call of Duty. Every experience that I played playing Metroid Prime has never been the same with Call of Duty. Like, I love Call of Duty and the stuff that it does. I love Metroid Prime and the stuff that it does. But Metroid and the Metroid Prime series, I will forever put above Call of Duty. But I also think it's just very weird that they both have vehicles in the new game. But I will forever choose Metroid over, and Legend of Zelda over Call of Duty. And it's funny because Call of Duty is one of the best-selling franchises and has some of the most sales, and way more than those last two games I just previously mentioned, but those games are better. I'm gonna have to watch these videos here. Zach Scott's the only one that played it, and I've seen him before.
Already pretty frustrated, being confused a lot of times as to what the heck they want me to do next. But I mean, this just brought it over the top for me because the collectibles are also in the same manner. There's so many collectibles that are hidden in the dark world in absolutely insane spots. And oh my gosh, I could not stand going back trying to find all the collectibles. In fact, it's probably one of the only Metroid games ever, even excluding the Prime games, that I could not find myself to 100%. I mean, I think the highest I would get was like 89% because, man, the backtracking is just so awful in this game. The final boss against Emperor Ing was fine. It really wasn't anything special. You would take out this giant egg thing, and the actual boss against the Emperor Ing felt like just another mini boss that you fought a million times in the game by just shooting his face with light beams. It was just kind of like, that's it.
Actually, now that I think about it, it's kind of like the Metroid Prime, the first boss fight, final boss fight. Except it had 3 different phases, and the one thing that's new, I would say, is I guess, you know, some of the attacks, yeah, from the enemy, but the Morph Ball second phase of the Emperor Ing, the one before the final one, that's brand new. But even the last, like, Dark Samus boss fight, and if you include every single one that you fight against her in the last 3, I guess it's a little bit different, and it's cool. In terms of newness, I mean, yeah, there's still some new to it, but I mean, the last phase of the Emperor Ing is a little bit recycled, but I still think it's cool.
And even the boss battle with Dark Samus at the very end was kind of weak and very confusing until finally realizing what I had to do, which was something that you never had to do in the entire course of the game, which is charging up your own shot, collecting the shots of Dark Samus in your own arm cannon, which is like, what? When have we ever had to do that? How was...
That's really cool. And it's almost like the last game where we had to do the hyper mode for the first time and had to get FaZe on into the suit and shoot it at the Metroid Prime essence. But I'm actually curious to see what he's about to say.
Was I supposed to know this is what you're supposed to do? I don't know, maybe it tells you, but I just was like, what the heck? I didn't see anything that told me to do that. Something else.
I think that was pretty fun and cool in the game, in my opinion.
But now we move on to what I believe to be my favorite in the trilogy so far. I think it's very close to Prime 1, but Metroid Prime 3, it's really good, man. I really enjoyed my replay through of this game. I remember really liking it, but couldn't remember too much about the game, so I'm really glad to replay this one. Man, this game is awesome, dude. And I just now realized that some people online, or at least a lot of people online, think that this is their least favorite, which was mind-blowing to me.
That's exactly why I was confused. I was saying the exact same thing, because I thought Corruption was people's most least liked, but I guess according to this guy, which I don't know how much information he knows about Metroid, but according to this guy, he says that Echoes is the most disliked, which is odd. But I mean, I haven't kept up with every little thing that's Metroid, and even recently, I just know some things here and there. I wouldn't even say some things, just some to a little. But for anybody to not like any of the games in the series in general, that's abysmal.
Now, this was the first Metroid Prime game to come out exclusively for the Wii, so it had exclusive motion controls, and I actually really like these. It actually gives, you know, even more feeling of being Samus, where you're actually moving her arm around and stuff like you normally would, like I said, with her arm cannon and stuff. So like it feels so good to actually do that with her left hand, to, you know, hit monitors and push buttons and, you know, grab different levers and switches. It just feels really more tactile more than ever.
Yeah, that is very true, actually. I never really thought of it that way, but that is a very good detailed explanation of what basically you do in the game.
The whole Metroid Prime 4 Mackenzie situation, I think most people hate this game simply due to the fact that it kind of eliminates a lot of that isolation by adding tons of supporting characters. There's 3 new bounty hunters that work with Samus. There's more interaction with the Galactic Federation. I mean, there's even soldiers that you can talk to, a general that you can talk to, and even AI units that tell you information throughout your playthrough. And I think a lot of people dislike this. Personally, I love this. It's more world building. I think adding more characters to the world of Metroid is always beneficial. I think it adds to the story and to the lore, and I like learning about more characters instead of just being Samus, Space Pirates, Ridley. I like this, and I don't understand why people get stuff like this. For the most part, you are alone in this game, but it just has lots of cutscenes with other characters to interact with, which I'm a big fan of. And now it's time for the ending of the game. How is it handled? Well, the whole ending is so unique here. I really love how it's like a full-on Galactic Federation invasion into the Space Pirate homeworld, but you had to infiltrate the Space Pirate homeland and lower all the shields for the rest of the Galactic Federation to come in and take hold. And I love that, how you're like also leading a bunch of the bomb troopers in so they can blow hinges off doors and stuff. It just feels, oh, I love it, like a big galactic war. And
yeah, that is very, very good. You know, I never really realized it, but see, this is why I like watching. This is why I like YouTube. This is why I like being able to do this type of stuff, because it's so good. You learn from other people too.
I love having something like this in a Metroid game for once, but besides it always just being Samus and only Samus, I like this change, dude.
Yeah, if there was going to be a change, this was the best way to go about it. I think he's a little bit overcritical on Metroid Prime 1 and 2. Not completely, just in a couple of points that he was trying to make in his video, but besides that, pretty solid video overall. Good review.
Now, just like the artifacts in the first game and the keys in the second game, of course, the stupid collectibles come back, but it's done in the best way possible.
You want to know something funny about this boss fight? I thought this was Dark Samus and Mother Brain combined. I mean, in a way, it kind of is. But it kind of hyped me up back then. I don't know why. I was like, oh, this is freaking awesome, man.
But overall, I thought that was a cool little neat addition. Of course, you have to do that with a game coming out on the Wii exclusively.
But overall, replaying these games the last couple of years, yes, even Prime 2 Echoes, has been a blast just to revisit my childhood and to prepare
me for Prime 4.
Dude,
I mean,
Prime
I am so
4 looks
excited for Prime 4
great.
now. I mean,
I always was, but I think just coming off of replaying the trilogy and coming off of Prime 3 Corruption, I can't wait to see where they go with the story and with Silux and maybe even possibly bringing Dark Samus back in a way. I think reports said that she would not be coming back, but I'm like, come on, dude. It's called Metroid Prime. They gotta have the Metroid Prime there in some capacity, right?
you can get like Prime 1 and 2. I kind of really like that idea.
That's pretty cool.
With fun motorcycle action seems really exciting. There's so much stuff to look forward to with this game. I can't wait to see what they're cooking and what they've been cooking for so long, because it has been so
What
long.
the heck?
But please let me know in the comments down below, what are your opinions on the Metroid Prime games? If you played any of them, what are your favorites?
We got Minecraft emerald crystals popping out of the ground. This looking like freaking Borderlands or like Sword Art Online, Solitary Sands or something. That was Fatal Bullet. I meant to say like Color Realization. What was that sand area called in that game? I don't remember. It was like the 5th area. Anyway, but like, what is going on? This is looking like Samus is in Arizona. She going to the Grand Canyon. What in the world? This looks like between what? I was gonna say Phase on Mines, but it's like Magmore Caverns. The psychic abilities, I'm very interested to see what they're trying to do with. But I think that video is pretty good. I would who's that by? Nin10doland's. Nin10doland's. That was a good video. By liking the title, how he says you should play these games. A little overcritical in a couple of areas, but overall, I mean, there's some pretty good stuff in there. Today, I'm gonna spend all my time watching the gameplay, and then I'm gonna watch all the reviews on it to see, like, because I'm kind of confused why it's having mixed reviews like that, because it looks interesting. I saw the Orpheon play it, or the Orpheon, I don't know, that channel. He played it with his friends. I saw like the first, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of the game, and it looked kind of interesting. So
I also took a shower and I missed like, I don't know, 20 minutes of it. I left it on, like I was looking at it here and there just to see what was happening, and I was confused. I'm like, all right, I might as well just turn off the phone and get the rest of the shower in, but I just got the rest of the shower in and just did that. But
yeah, that was pretty good. So hope y'all enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Go follow me on all social media platforms, Lord ZXinfinite. Hope you have a legendary grand day, and peace.